I can hear you all out there saying to me, Mr. Twister, why, you haven't done any reviews of Good Smile Company scale figures since Ultimate Madoka back in November of last year. Is that really all you have? Well, not quite. The reason why it's been so long is because my Good Smile scale figures are, I would say, the highest quality ones that I own, or at least the ones that have the most going on. Not only that, but they're all from the same series, and I'm saving one for a special occasion which is a fair way down the line. So I wanted to kind of space them out as much as possible as to not blow my load too early on my best stuff so far. Not to mention, these guys are still relevant even after being released for a good while because they're so damn popular. You'd be a fool if you couldn't guess that I'm of course talking about the Blackrock Shooter series of scale figures. My very first video, which looks like I filmed it during an earthquake, was of the 8th scale Insane Blackrock Shooter, and I'm thinking of revisiting it at some point, or at least re-recording it, but not for a while. Either way, this week for your delectation is a lovely lady indeed. She's got a lot of black, not very much gold, and she has a saw. Duh. It's Black Gold Saw! Sculpted by Kawanishi Ken, this is a beast of a figure. I don't think I really need to explain why, but I'm going to anyway, so shut up and watch. As always, we're going to start from the top of the figure and move our way down, except this time, the hair isn't the first thing we come across, it's her massive great big horns. They look fantastically dangerous, and are painted with a lovely black to red gradient that just makes me want to wet myself with fear every time I look at them for too long. Just don't look too closely at where they come from though, or the illusion will be duly shattered. Surely those horns are supposed to be coming straight out of a melon, so why is hair coming out from underneath? While it could be argued that her hair is growing around the horns rather than underneath, it does make it more look like she's wearing a Halloween costume rather than being an actual creature from another world. I'm not going to inquire any further though, because she's glaring at me quite fiercely with those shiny red eyes of her. Ooh. Aside from that slight hiccup, the hair as a whole is grand. The arc, combined with the long chain, which I'll get more into in a bit, gives the impression that she's just done a full 360 and she's prepared her weapon. Maybe someone goosed her, I don't know. It's kind of hard to get at the torso to have a look at it on account of it being lost amongst all this stuff that's happening around it. It's almost like she's protecting her chest from perverse glares with a wall of action! Solid action! In order to help her lug around her massive sword, she's been kitted out with some massive hands. These huge, bony, gauntlet-like hands are a great addition, even if they would look more fitting on Dead Master, which is probably why she has them as well, and why they made them a similar size to this in the anime. Anyway, the massive stature of the sword is kind of lost on the fact that it's pointing directly forwards, so you have to display her at a slight angle if you want the full effect. Also, before you ask, I haven't been sparring with her. Those scratches and chips are all part of the design, which only breathes more life into the piece overall, along with the chips on her boots. Which boots, you ask? These boots, in fact. These are the one part of the figure as a whole that I can't really take seriously. I'm not sure if it's the strange genie-like curved feet that look like they're waiting to be connected to a jigsaw puzzle, or the fact that her knees look like spare feet. In fact, if you cover up her lower leg, it looks really silly. Anyway, enough mucking around, it's time to get back to basics, and by basics, I mean the base. One thing that this run of Good Smile Blackrock Shooter scale figures have in common is that the bases carry this broken chessboard motif, with chains exploding around all over the place, adding up to one pretty kinky checkmate. Bases don't often interact with figures very much other than being the thing what helps them stand up, but these are great. This one in particular, as it really adds to the motion of the figure, particularly the one that swirls around her. Just be aware that if you move her even a little, it's like that all four of the chains will just ping off in different directions and it'll take ages to put back together. This has happened to me all too often, which is why it took me forever to get this footage. This Black Gold Saw, to me, is a near perfect example of what a scale figure should be like. I love figures like this that really look as though they've got something going on with them. The pose is interesting, there's movement that you can follow, and it looks, well, alive. I like figures that do something, and this one does everything, making me a happy boy indeed. Definitely one of my favourites, and it should be one of yours too, or she'll cut ya!